Go. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's Pierre again, and welcome to Bedard's Unofficial podcast. Tonight, I'm joined by James Wakel. Welcome, James.
Crazy James.
Yes, crazy James. Uh, I, I don't know how the Red Wings are doing, but before we get there, we're going to start off with our requisite advertisement for Richard D. Kendall's book, Toughest School in North America, available in paperback, available on Kindle, and now available in audiobooks. Though all the names just come off as really funky, but it actually reads pretty well, except for the name things. And Richard and I talked a little bit about that, I think, in our last podcast. So, hey, James, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Been a while.
Yes. Well, you have work and I'm like unemployed. So there.
Yeah, I got one
But
of those job things now. When we
yeah,
started doing this, I was living off the government tit, and thanks to everybody for continuing to work so I could you know, do that.
I get it. I get it, man. If people don't buy this, toughest school in North America book, I'm what flying dog shit out of Hong Kong or something, or
Oh,
doing burgers. Though I'd love to do burgers.
that's a line
I've
from
actually
Top Gun.
considered going back and and again, back to St. John's.
Yes.
I've considered going back and doing short order shit.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
why not? It would, I mean, if to pass the time, I tell you, nothing goes faster than a shift in food service when the heat's on to produce. You
Yeah.
just gotta produce. There, you can't think of anything else but production.
Yeah. Well, I know when I was over at the Tomato Boys store, and there's a pub connected to the place, and sometimes they like, James, lock the door. We need you to run food. Well, holy crap! All of a sudden, 2 hours is gone. So
I mean, it goes fast.
yeah,
And it's that kind of work, like one thing about St. John's, I think I wrote about on my on Bedard.com was grape picking, where for a couple years they had a deal with the Canadian government to send us over to the Beaujolais region of France to pick grapes for 3 weeks.
one for
And
you, one for me.
hmm?
One for you, one for me.
No, it was, I got to tell you, April 1st is coming up,
Yes, it
which
is.
is Cesar Chavez's birthday. Do you know who Cesar Chavez was?
Um,
Probably not.
a, I want to say a boxer.
No. Well, there was Julio Cesar Chavez,
Oh,
but
okay.
Cesar Chavez was actually a very, very famous American, um, Mexican American labor activist who was like behind the grape boycott back in the 70s. You may not remember, but grapes were boycotted because of the essentially with the labor conditions for the farm workers who pick grapes. I mean, one thing I learned picking grapes is it sucks to pick grapes. Uh, it really does. It's bad. It's fucking hard work,
Oh, guarantee.
amazingly hard work. Dusk, dawn to dusk.
I've never picked grapes, but I've picked strawberries, blueberries, and Saskatoons.
What the hell are Saskatoons?
You've never had a Saskatoon? Oh my
No, it sounds like a one of those oh shit, Louis Vachon cakes.
God.
A Vachon cake.
It's it's kind of a purple berry, and has almost like a woody taste to it, but they're very good. They make great pies. They make good jam. And yeah, we'd go out, well, just north of High Prairie here, Mom and I, and we'd pick all day.
Yeah, you
You know,
and I'm sure mom and another mom and her cub bear were out picking all day, fattening
more
themselves on
often, sometimes we
Saskatoons.
took people with us, but these berry pickers, they're pretty particular about their spots, eh? So I didn't mind picking Saskatoons so much because they grow up on a tree and like they hang like grapes, and there's years where they're so thick in that where they're like small grapes, and it doesn't take any time at all to fill a ice cream pail.
Well,
But
maybe back in the
blueberries
Stone
stuck because
Age, it
they're
was
so
a big
small.
deal.
What's that?
Maybe back in the Stone Age, your ancestors would pick them and then ferment them. Just
Oh
like
yeah,
the
you could make
French
wine
do.
out of them.
I'm sure you can. I mean, I'm sure that, an enterprising St. John's person made hooch that way. I know, well, anyway, the topic of this podcast wasn't supposed to be how to make illicit alcohol
No,
under adverse conditions, but if you must know, I've seen it done disgustingly on canoe trips.
shocking.
I had a guy try to that one of our guys on the New Boy tried to make blueberry uh blueberry with some kind of alcohol content in it.
It's not long enough. It's got to
Liquid.
ferment.
Well, it was a pretty shitty New Boy with a lot of blueberries. I mean, we were out there like 15 days. It was terrible. I think it took us less
50.
time to
Oh,
do
right,
the
because you
grand.
guys did the canoe thing at the beginning, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we did the New Boy, the real New Boy,
Oh,
James,
Christ, here we
since,
go.
like the one in Manitoba, the
It's
real
just
one.
child abuse.
I think Alberta did it too for a while, but they'd put you to Ear Falls in Ontario and you'd paddle back to Selkirk through the Winnipeg River drainage. You get to do Traverse Bay and the swamp, and you get windbound. But anyway, on one of the windbound things, it was like Blueberry Island, and somebody decided, oh shit, we have so many blueberries, I might as well try to ferment some, see what happens.
Oh,
But St. John's was not at all a prison culture.
no.
Even though I was sent to St. John's for stealing these baseball cards that we're
Oh,
about to share today.
really?
I should have been. I should have been. I got to tell you, when I was young in Orange County, I was bad. My friends and I were bad. I mean, yeah, I bought some, but I did. I don't know. I can't tell a lie. Not that I would ever remember the actual theft if you pressed me.
There you
I
go.
may have remembered where the crime might have been committed.
Is it a parking lot now?
No, no, I bet you know what? I think the store is still there. It was a corner
Really?
store. Yeah.
That's
I'd
insane.
have to look it up, but I didn't steal that much, but I was very much into baseball cards at the time, and I definitely accumulated them.
Well, let's ask the loaded question. Did you get anything good?
I don't know, like what the one thing I wanted to flip you out on was essentially Hank Aaron
No. Was that his
one,
rookie card?
no,
No. But what year would that
two,
be?
69.
Wow.
Most of these are 69.
Good year. Oh, Roberto Clemente.
This one is, yeah, this had to be one of his last years.
Yeah,
I don't know when he
wasn't he
died.
killed in 72 or 73 in that plane
Yeah,
crash?
perhaps.
Yeah.
Yes, he died doing
Humanitarian work, wasn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
He was in a shitty cargo plane, basically. Poor guy.
Yeah.
And then this one, I don't know if you can see this, but
Oh, Pete Rose. And then
National
the two in the
League.
bottom, there's some reflection there. I can't see that.
Oh, sorry, Roberto Clemente and
Oh, and
some other
here.
guy, Cleon Jones.
Oh, okay.
This
Nice.
is an interesting one. A rookie. This is a rookie card. I don't know if
Oh,
you've heard of Vita Blue, but he had quite an interesting career with the Athletics.
the
Anyway,
soon to be former Oakland Athletics. How do you feel about
don't
that?
get me started. I know, yeah, that's just a terrible thing. That really is a terrible thing.
Well, they're
I
knocking
mean,
down
how
the
well do you
Tropicana
know
in Vegas to
baseball?
build it, build their new
Huh?
home. They're knocking down the Tropicana in Vegas to build their new ballpark. That's one
Yeah,
of the
they
last
are.
of the original casinos on the strip.
What do you know about Las Vegas?
I've been there.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You,
You know what, I enjoyed my time there. We went and I like I've got a couple of books that I grabbed there, the history of Las Vegas and the strip, and the actually CNN right now is running a thing on Sundays on the history of Las Vegas, and that's been a little bit fascinating. They're talking to Wayne Newton on there and some of the other performers and one of Elvis's good
so,
friends.
like, does Ward Air have a
Ward
shuttle to
Air.
Vegas?
Jesus
Well,
Christ.
maybe I'm dating myself a little bit.
Look, I know what Ward Air is, and yes, you are dating yourself.
Ward Air used to be a very famous Canadian airline.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of a sketchy, not, I don't know if you can call them sketchy.
Well, not like Boeing sketchy these days.
Oh, please. Boeing is just fine engineering that's misinterpreted.
Really. Right. So if you come onto a Boeing plane with a multi-tool, you're upgraded to first class because you can help fix that shit in the air.
Details. So back anyway, what was I saying about Vegas? Yes. So
Yeah.
the Tropicana, have you ever stayed at the Tropicana?
No, no, I've only been what of it 3, 4 times. Stayed at the Flamingo, the Bally's, which used to be the MGM Grand, the one that it's the MGM Grand that burnt in 1980, 81. So if you're ever in a building that's on fire, you want to be in Vegas because of that fire. Um, and the Imperial Palace, they call that the Quad now. Stayed there, and is that it? Maybe I've only been to Vegas 3 times.
I used to have to go like every year for trade shows, and I'd stay at the Tropicana
Yeah.
because it was a Hilton property,
Mm-hmm.
and I had points or bullshit. I was a member,
Yeah.
but it was convenient to the trade show floors because it was close to everything. I
Yeah. Well,
also
and now
was.
it's at like really the end of the strip.
I don't
Right.
even know what is and what isn't strip. I hate to say it. I've just never been. My relationship to Las Vegas really has been my relationship to the convention centers and the trade shows. I've never been into it ever. I actually, people in awe of Vegas sort of, I like, whatever. You be
You know
in
what's
awe.
funny about Las Vegas is there's a lot of people who think they've gone to Las Vegas that have never been to Las Vegas. Because if you go to Vegas and never leave the strip, you've never been to Vegas. You've been to Clark County.
Oh, well, see, you know too much. This is a typical Canadian problem where you're just fucking overeducated and think that because of your education and your knowledge, you're smart enough to turn the argument. But I'm sorry, you're just
No,
not.
I know, haven't been educated at St. John's. I am, as you know, exceedingly stupid. So it's,
Or beaten.
well, there was that too. Learn, goddammit. Uh,
Uh, by the way, there's a who is Simon James is unleashed. There's a fake Simon James
I saw that.
unleashed.
Yeah, and then somebody posted the conversation they had with the fake Simon Jeans. And
Yeah.
my comment on that was the only way Simon Jeans is talking like that is if he's stroking out.
Well, maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know the guy.
Oh, you've never met Simon
No,
Jeans?
I fear he's strictly Alberta.
Oh, yeah.
Your
One
luck,
of the first
dude.
people that I met at St. John's when I went for my initial interview.
I've heard he's quite the swatter.
Yeah, he's got an arm. He was
Whatever.
well, the way the
I've got a
Alberta
middle
school was set
finger.
up.
He may have an arm, but I've got a middle finger.
Well, that's true. And you know what? I'm past 50, you're past 60. Uh
Hey, we just shut the fuck up. What are you talking about?
oh, that's right.
Jesus fucking Christ. Age discrimination.
Yeah, well,
Don't you guys have laws in Canada? No
depends
wonder
who
I
you
can't
vote
find
for.
no wonder I can't find any fucking work.
No, with the squatting and with Simon Jeans, the way the Alberta school was set up is it was an H, right? And the bottom of the one leg of the H was the grade 9, 10 dorms. And being in grade 9, I was, standing outside my dorm. I was in the last one, and Simon Jeans is walking down the hallway towards us, and just straight up, you know, bone straight. And one of my dorm mates there says, under his breath, because the St. John's teachers had exceptional hearing, and Simon Jeans is walking towards us and says, "What's up his ass?" And he gets down to the end of the dorm and looks at us and says, "Gentlemen, Mr. Jeans," and he turns around and starts walking away. Well, he's got the SWAT stick in the back of his pants like a pistol, right? And we just started laughing.
You know what? I'm not going to go there with any of that because that can be I mean, I'm just not even, you know what? I shouldn't even, we may even cut this out of the podcast because it's just, I, I can't infer anything
It's
about
just where
this
he was carrying it.
except the obvious. You know, I really like the movie Cool Hand Luke. How about you?
Haven't
Let's
seen that
talk
one.
about
I know
Cool
Paul
Hand Luke.
Newman's in it, so it's got to be a cool movie.
You've never seen it?
No.
Well, you've heard, of course, what we got here is a failure to communicate.
Yes.
Well, the trick in Cool Hand Luke is this: Paul Newman just doesn't get along with anybody and gets sent to a work camp. So, could you see how people from St. John's would relate? Okay,
That may have
it's a
been where
work
I heard
camp
the quote.
in the swamp. No, you heard it like Guns N' Roses quotes it in one of their famous songs. But anyway,
Yeah.
so you've got the correlation between the work camp, St. John's, the dorms.
Yeah.
They have dorms in Cool Hand Luke. And the chain gang. There's a chain gang. That's what they do, right? You're a convict in, I forget the state, somewhere in the South. I don't know if they tell you the state. And anyway, Luke ends up there because he takes the heads off parking meters. So they throw him in jail. Luke don't listen. So Luke takes off running. he runs once, he takes off. And he pays the price for it, gets beaten up, thrown in the hole, all this shit. And then he runs again. And then he really gets it. Then of course he comes back and like they just beat, just they have him dig a hole and then tell him to fill the hole up.
This
And
sounds like St. John's.
it was total St. John's. Cool Hand Luke is absolutely St. John's. It's just so St. John. I'm sorry. I'm
Ted Byfield's favorite movie.
No, who Ted Byfield would be, well, those of us who suffered St. John's, I think it was a cool movie. The
I'll have to check
best.
it out.
Yeah, and but eventually what happens to Paul Newman?
He must die.
Yeah, good. Well, I won't ruin it for people on the podcast, but yeah,
Look,
it is a great
if
movie.
a movie is like 40 or 50 or 60 years old, I think we can do away with spoiler alerts.
But that was one movie that St. John's, at least when I was going, was extremely popular within the students. Like it was the type of thing where you'd be quoting lines from it to each other to pass the time, or like replaying that. And I have to admit, I have never watched Deliverance
Neither have I.
the whole way through. However, how many times have I fucking heard, people talk about the canoeing, which is like St. John's,
Yeah.
the squeal like a pig,
Yeah.
which while it's overtly sexual in the movie and may not have been at St. John's, but we'll let the Canadian government make those determinations. No,
It's the justice
I shouldn't
system.
joke about that, but the bullying, the general bullying,
Yeah.
squeal like a pig, all that shit, was just, so that it was another movie. And then there was a third movie, which I don't know if you ever caught, which was The Phantom of the Paradise, a movie by a guy named Paul Williams. And it's like the Phantom of the Opera,
Okay.
except it's a rock version of it.
Oh God.
And for some fucking reason, the film was huge in Winnipeg. I mean, nobody went to see this fucking film except in Winnipeg. If you look online and search, I wrote a blog entry about it. But if you look online and search on it, it actually talks about the cult status of the movie.
That's
so
funny.
Between Deliverance, Cool Hand Luke, and Phantom of the Paradise, that pretty much rounded out my education at St. John's, my creative education. My entire career went from those three sources. It's pretty sad.
Well, I remember like when I was growing up watching movies on CBC Saturday night. They'd have Hockey Night in Canada, and then they'd have the National with Knowlton Nash, or Peter Mansbridge, depending on what day who was there. But then they'd show The Prisoner with Patrick McGowan. Love that show. Twisted as hell. Love the whole premise of it though. And then
it's not that it. So yeah, what's your number?
Yeah.
That like are you saying, like, did you have a number at St. John's?
Well, of course, we all had a freaking number at St. John's. It's how they sorted out our laundry, right?
So they could sell it back to us.
By the Swan.
Anyway, go on. The Prisoner.
Well, and like I watched it, and the Prisoner, oddly enough, English show, so it's only ran for one series because that's what they call their seasons in England. But I watched it every year. Like, during the hockey season, it would come on and it was twisted. I liked it. And then I find out when I go to St. John's that Patrick McGowan had done another show prior to that called Danger Man, I think, in which he played a secret agent. And the theory at the time among staff, because they were the ones who'd seen it, was that, well, it's the same character, but they just don't name him. Because, Danger Man was a secret agent and his character in The Prisoner is a guy who's quit. And
You don't quit, but yeah,
no, you don't.
obviously. But that's the
Um,
point.
and then I saw just in the last year or so, I saw an interview with him done in either the very late 70s or early 80s. And, the interviewer says, look, is number 6, I think his name was Drake or something like it, is number 6 Danger Man? And he's like, well, we couldn't use the name because then we'd have to pay royalties.
So it
And
was.
yeah,
But what famous movie McGowan was in.
Braveheart.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
he doesn't like his son's advisor, among other things. He's like,
Well, I was
he's sort
excited
of
when
a
I was
dick,
watching
but
Braveheart for the first time, and his name comes up in the credits, and I'm like, oh my god, I love The Prisoner. And then, yeah, it took me a little bit to recognize him with the beard and everything there,
well, in the age.
and the age, right? Because I'm used to seeing him when he's in his 30s. It's like if you were to go and watch even the last episode of MASH right now, that's 41 years old.
Well, you've watched Game of Thrones, right?
Couple of episodes.
Well, the woman from the Avengers, Diana Rigg, has a amazing um, run in Game of Thrones as like this. She has a classic line where she tells somebody, before taking the poison, just make sure he knows it was me, like who killed your
Yeah.
son. She's the one
Now,
who delivers that line. That's
for
Diana
the
Rigg from the
youngsters out
Avengers.
there, when you say the Avengers, we need to
Oh,
clarify. We're not talking about Marvel's Avengers here. We're talking about the Avengers, the TV show from
yes.
well, again, I think the late 60s, early 70s.
Yep. Who was with her? It was Diana Rigg and was it McGowan? No,
No, I don't think so.
I
I can't,
dishonor
you
the
know what?
guy.
I never saw that one. I just know that there was a difference.
Well, she was amazing in that show, but you know what? There's some people like Dame Judi Dench who are just fucking amazing
Absolutely.
in whatever they play. Just
Helen
doesn't
Mirren,
matter.
another one.
Ben
Wonderful.
Kingsley. I mean, we could go on. Marlon Brando. You know what? With Marlon Brando, it just doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't
Jack
matter how good
Nicholson.
he
Let's
was.
talk about
No,
somebody who
he's
doesn't have
good.
things that it doesn't matter.
He's
Doesn't
great.
care.
Oh, well, I mean, he really, yeah. And Dennis Hopper,
Yep.
another
Yep.
one who's just amazing. I mean, those two were an Easy Rider. But you know what? I don't think I've seen bits of Easy Rider, but it wasn't my generation. I was just slightly too young.
And I was just slightly too not born.
You weren't even born. You didn't fucking exist.
Although I've seen the clip, I'll have a chicken sandwich, hold the chicken.
Well, yeah, but then you see where that gets him. That gets him in the mental hospital
Yes. Yes.
in the next movie
Yep.
where he wins
Gone through over the
did he win
cuckoo's
the
nest. I
Academy
have
Award?
seen that.
That was popular at St. John's.
That may have been where I saw it.
that was a very popular film, I think, at St. John's, because you know what? Any film, I'm sure The Shawshank Redemption was amazingly popular at St. John's. I mean, any prison film was had to be popular at
What year
St.
did
John's. Does it
Shawshank come
sound
out?
like I'm fixated on St. John's and prison themes?
Yeah,
Hell
well,
yes.
um, hang on, I got to check and see here the Shawshank Redemption here
All
because
right. Well, then I'm gonna keep my rank going before I stop. You
absolutely,
know, but yeah, I'm catching some shit because I see St. John's too much as um, the culture being prison. I mean, not that it was well, it was sort of a prison, but the culture itself, the fact that uh, cigarettes were barter, were money,
yeah,
at least when I was going.
yeah,
I'm not
same.
saying this is true with everybody. Food was money. Actually, pretty much anything that made life somewhat more enjoyable could be traded for money.
Yeah,
And that was probably, for the normal of us, it probably didn't impact us that much. But if somebody really took that to the fucking limit, you can only imagine.
you know,
Um,
there's a group of people who have always said, "Oh, I wish we could have St. John's again." They're romanticizing it to a degree. St. John's, when the St. John's from when I went, and certainly the St. John's even more so when yourself and Richard went to St. John's, that can't exist today. Like the culture just isn't there, right? It just,
well, the law, it's not a question of culture. It's a question of the law.
well, the law has
No,
caught
no, no,
up to what
time
the
out.
culture was, right? You can't do
Well,
that to
somewhere along the
kids,
line, beating kids became illegal. What the hell? Is that
right?
like, I mean, what's up with that? What's wrong with our culture? We should be able to beat kids at will. I don't understand. What's wrong with that statement?
Well,
Of
and
course we
here's
can't
my
beat
whole
people.
thing when it comes to spanking, because spanking is illegal, I guess, in a lot of places now. And the
No,
reason this
no,
had to
no.
come in, the reason why they had to change the laws is because some people took it too far. There is a difference between spanking your child and beating the shit out of them. And I've seen
Well,
both, right?
but spanking, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It wasn't, this goes back to the prison economy comment I've been making. There was an economy to the SWATs, at least when I was, and we've had this discussion. I know I've talked to others about this. When I was going, you'd get one SWAT per uh, item of clothes left out. You'd get three SWATs, and those usually weren't that serious, but they were public humiliation because it was done in front of they'd bring out a pile of clothes, right?
Yep.
And then they'd sell, quote unquote, in big air quotes, the clothes back to you. And since you had your laundry number sewn into every piece of your clothing, then every piece of clothing they call out your number and you take the requisite number of swats.
Yep.
So if you had dumped your clothes, taken a shower, and just left them hanging there, see, your mom would just yell at you. But at
Yeah.
St. John's, you get to buy them back in front of like what 100 of your closest friends
Yeah.
at a group meeting
Yep.
while you're bent over. But that was odd. That was odd. But the more 10 swats for smoking, 10 swats for running away, really 10 swats for really, 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 really bad shit. But there wasn't that. But smoking and running away were it. If
Yep.
three swats they'd call it being put on charge. Like you pissed somebody off or you told the master to fuck off. Well, not that bad, but in subtle ways, right? Your middle finger popped up and you couldn't
Yeah.
help yourself. And I mean, because you're 14 and you've got like, raging fucking hormones going through you, and nobody's gonna fuck with you. Nobody. So you give the guy a finger. What the fuck? You pay the price, 3 swats. But you know what? On charge. I don't know what it was with you guys. For us, it was bad. Like because the 3 swats were like three badass swats usually. It
Right.
wasn't like, buying your clothes back where it's more the public humiliation piece as opposed to the just making it fucking hurt.
Yeah. Well, there was a few times like the stupidest thing I ever did at St. John's, and like I did a lot of stupid things in my life. We were doing choir practice, and Simon Jeans was our choir master, and he said, "Bass, stand up." So I stand up, and I think it's going to be funny to give the Nazi salute because I'm young and stupid. Now, if you don't know Simon Jeans, he's English. So it's doubly bad because if you haven't read your history book, Nazis were bad. And I knew that. I thought I was making a joke. I just pissed him off. So I got to stand for the rest of choir practice at the front. And then I think he had the SWAT stick with him. Maybe he pulled it out of the back of his pants. And he wound up and it was only two, but oh my god, did they hurt. The first one was flat, and the second one was with the edge of the board.
Yeah, that's fucked up. I mean, I think that I remember some of the masters. I'm too drunk really to remember any names. Thank God for them and for me, likely. But no, they wouldn't know how to SWAT. So they wouldn't get the flat end on your ass. They'd hit the tailbone,
Oh god, that hurts.
which would fucking hit the spine. Yeah, it's just, yeah, and it's just, and the thing was, at the time, you just like wrote it off to incompetence. Like the doesn't know how to SWAT, which is bizarre.
Well, there was one teacher, and I won't name names, and I had no problem naming Simon Jeans there because you know what? I had that coming. I'm not mad about it either. As soon
Yeah,
as I
given
did
a
it, I'm like,
not, I
oh
mean,
god,
doing
that
a
was
Prince Harry during choir practice, doing a Prince Harry during choir practice.
right. That was, yeah. I'm pretty sure Grandma had words with him about that. Um,
Well,
but I had,
it was immediate, I mean, okay, so that's all the bad side. The good side is it's immediate execution.
yeah,
You're taken out to the ditch and, shot in the head and left there for the vultures, but it's done
yeah,
quickly. You don't linger
yeah. Well, there was one
for
teacher.
what that good is, that's great, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that good? Isn't that just fucking great? I
yeah,
mean, isn't justice the fucking best thing you could think about? Is making your death quick, fast, as opposed to having it linger. Thank God for Albertan justice.
um, yeah. As far as and you said, the incompetence of swatting. There was one teacher who was doing some swatting, and this guy was there was a group of them getting swats, and everybody was getting two for whatever it was, homework not done or had been talking out of turn, whatever. So getting two. Well, one of the last guys goes in and bends over, assumes the position. The teacher winds up, missed his ass completely, went up his back and hit him in the back of the head. So he's like, "Oh man!" And like he's holding his head, and he's gonna leave, and the teacher says, "No, no, it's two. Like you just hit
Well,
me in the head."
he's right. He moved probably.
Oh,
I don't see why you should blame. And why are you referring to him as a teacher? It's a master. Learn your
um,
terminology. I swear, you younger St. John's victims, attendees don't know your vernacular.
You know what?
What good
They
would
were,
you be? You know what? What good would you be with a dominatrix if you didn't know that, your teachers were named masters? I'll leave it
touch
at that.
that one.
I don't know that we'll get mail on that one, but
Um,
I
well,
actually try
the
to
whole
refer to
time I
them
was
as
in Alberta
masters.
in the mid '80s, um, they weren't masters. They were teachers, and you know what? We had alumni there. Uh, Peter Jackson was headmaster. Robert McKay was there. Richard Ingemanson was there. Mike Senkner was there. Blaine Thalberger was there. So these are all alumni who came back and taught at the school, and they weren't masters. They were teachers.
That's pretty weak. I much prefer like graduating from a high school that had, where we had masters. To guide us,
It
to
was
set
just
us
too
straight,
easy
to
to get
make
a little
sure that we
snarky
were
with
on
that,
the
though.
straight and narrow.
Yes, master.
Well, I don't know. This is going downhill rather fast. I don't know that we're going to be able to put up the video of the baseball cards, as titillated as you were by those three cards, those three copies of the Hank Aaron 1969 card.
That's insane. Have you ever
I
had them
have,
a value? Like, do you know what the value is on them?
my dad was into it and actually, before he passed, itemized all of them and like put money amounts next to them. They fluctuate on the economy,
Absolutely, they do.
as you
And
know.
you've got an era of cards there that,
Looking behind you.
and the thing is most of the people are like, oh wow, how much is that all worth? Most of it ain't worth shit. It just displays nice on pegboard. There's a couple of pieces there that are worth a couple of bucks, but I'm not going to get rich off any of it. It's just fun to look at, right?
The
But the
card
card
I
you
have that's
have, that
worth it.
comes from an era where those cards are going to be worth something. The cards you buy today, the only ones that are ever worth anything are the inserts, right?
Well,
Oh,
even
speaking of
then, there
cards,
were some
did you hear
amazing
about the
inserts.
find in Saskatchewan?
What was that?
Somebody had in their garage a case of OPC hockey cards from the 1979-80 season. Now, oh, who's that? Play
So
baseball.
this is a baseball scratch off,
Is it
like
intact?
where it's a game.
Oh,
Then you keep score on the back.
I bet that one's worth money because everybody scratched that shit off.
No, they're all, you know what? They're all, do you remember this guy?
Earl Weaver.
You're not that much into baseball, probably.
I'm not, no.
He's known for like really being profane, like really. This is interesting because they were
Pilots
on Seattle. They were only in existence for a year, and then they moved to Milwaukee.
to become the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Morton and Dan McCain or
I don't know.
McGinn,
They're not real. Who knows? They're not that famous, but it's
but they're
Expos.
Expos. That was
I
my
have all
team.
sorts of.
Gary Carter was my favorite baseball player. He's the
Was
reason
he?
I know anything about baseball.
I'm pretty sure I have him in here. Tom Seaver. I don't know if you knew this guy.
I've heard the name.
Anyway, but we're recording, aren't we? So I shouldn't be flipping cards up at you. Anyway, it's pretty lame. So no, I really think, but see, that was a life I left behind. No more baseball cards for me after St. John's. But really, it was something to learn. I got to tell you, the Spartan attitude that it made you have the ability to eat bologna and cabbage fried was something that, I mean, how can you possibly learn being abused?
You know, it makes you appreciate what you have and what you can get. When I was after I left St. John's, I wasn't done school yet. I still had to do high school or finish high school. And I went to Bonnie Doon in Edmonton. And what this I can't remember what class it was. Maybe it was drama, maybe it was just another one, but it was what maybe it was English. What's the best drink you've ever had in your life? And it was easy for me. It was a cup of hot water because we were like, it was during a snowshoe thing. It was 25, 30, 40 below. I don't know. We're out in the middle of nowhere. You're dehydrated, you're cold. And there's the truck with the big thermos of hot water. And nothing in my life had ever and has ever tasted as good as that. And I was trying
It's
to
just hot
explain this
water.
to a bunch of kids who'd never been outside the city, right? Who had never experienced that. And they didn't get it. They thought I was crazy. And, maybe I am. It does say that
Well, you
on
are
my name.
Crazy James, yes.
But it was good. What do you have in there? La Fin de Monde.
It's a French Canadian.
Is that maple beer?
No, it's just it's one of the earliest craft beers. It's
Okay.
been around for a while, but we can get it down here. It's like it's only got 9% alcohol by content.
So because you're in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting beer from Canada down there, like because American beer is just horse piss.
That used to be the case. I
Oh,
mean, certain
have they
American
improved
beers.
things?
Well, there's craft beers and shit like that, and they've gotten but yeah, sure. But I don't think Bud's horse piss. I think you're sort of full of shit.
All
Sorry.
beer is horse piss, as far as
You know
I'm
what?
concerned.
You know what's sad is that if I go to Canada and ask for a beer, the odds are probably pretty fucking high that I'll be served a Bud.
Mm,
Yeah,
or Canadian or kokanee, Coke or what's the one? Corona. That's popular up here.
Corona or a Mexican beer. Yeah, how cool is that?
Who was the most mad in 2020 about the coronavirus? Corona beer. God damn it. It's not our fault.
They lived through it.
They did.
Well, anyway, with that, I don't know where we're droning on. I mean, we are, but I wanted to show you more scratch offs. Look at all these.
Oh my God.
They're all intact.
Those have honest, I bet you that aside from the superstars of the era, the Mantles, the Pete Roses, that those are probably some of the most valuable cards in that set.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't, I have no reason to sell anything.
No, but it's nice to know what you got.
Oh, I was going to tell you the card I have that has been priced at a lot was I have a oh fuck, come on, I can't believe my brain's locking on this one. Jerry Kuzman, a rookie card with Jerry Kuzman and who's the fucking flame ball throwing Texan Ranger?
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan, Jerry Kuzman. Look it up. Rookie card.
Let's see.
It was worth 1,200.
Oh,
Yeah, that was probably that card is actually in a safe deposit box.
well, Nolan Ryan. What was the other guy's name?
Um,
Jerry
Jerry
Kuzman.
Kuzman, yeah, Koosman, great left-handed pitcher. For our listeners out there, Jerry, they were both New York Mets back in 1969, and both had very great careers. Ryan, of course, being amazing. No
Oh,
one's
he's
like Nolan
Nolan
Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah. So
Um,
what does it say, Crazy James?
you really want me to say this number where everybody can hear it?
Sure.
Depending what kind of shape it's in, over $9,000.
Oh, wow. Cool.
That's a 1968 Topps Mets rookies, Jerry Kuzman, Nolan Ryan rookie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see.
No, I can't. I mean, I can't see it. Yeah, that's a card. Yeah. That's what
Yeah,
I got.
yeah. I mean, it
Cool.
varies.
But why would you sell it? I mean, because you needed 9,000, or but you wouldn't get 9,000 necessarily, right? I mean, you trading cards and memorabilia is that's a tough thing to go into and make money.
You know, there's different kinds of people. There's people who collect stuff, and then there's people who flip stuff. I'm a collector. Some might say I'm a hoarder. Yes, Mom, I heard you from heaven
You're a hoarder.
when it comes to some of this stuff. But then there's other guys that just flip stuff. Now, I've sold a few things, not very much, but I've sold a few. I keep stuff. What happens, when the day comes when I die, what are my kids going to do with it? Well, they'll probably just sell it because it doesn't mean a damn thing to them. It's
Well,
my
I hope they
crap.
realize the value, but whatever.
They understand that it's worth something.
But you saw, I mean, the Kuzman card, the Nolan Ryan rookie card is definitely that's that's the biggest thing I've got. Everything else can go from $15 to $25, but then you have to have the card graded.
Yep.
You know all this stuff. My son's into it.
Well, yeah, you got to send it off to get graded. You have to, um, and then like if it comes back and it doesn't grade very well, well then like that $9,000 or $9,300, whatever it is, um, uh, if there's any sort of imperfection on, if the damn thing's not cut straight, right? Like I told you that in Saskatchewan they found a case of 7980,
Mhm.
an unopened case of cards. Well, that's Wayne Gretzky's rookie year, and one of his rookie cards that was graded, I think it was graded a 10. And it's like there's one or two of those out there because one, they're not cut straight. Two, we put the damn things in our bike spokes because we were stupid.
No, that's what you do with them. I mean,
That's what
for
we did
fuck's
with them.
sake, that's what
Threw
you
them
did
against
with
the
them.
wall. Now you got a full case. Now the question, and I think it went for, well, I think it was a couple $1 million that it went for, because like the prospect that there could be as many as, I think somebody said, between 10 and 16 Gretzky rookies in there. Now, if you open it and get those graded and they're not 10s, you've lost your money. Because if they're not cut right,
It's funny. Yeah, I get that. But I actually have a card that's not cut, like it totally not cut right. Like it's almost like it seems like it would be worth more. I have a Tom Seaver card where
okay.
it's off cut. Like
Mhm.
they fucked it up. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Well, look,
yeah.
we've been talking about an hour about generally nonsense. It's Friday night. So I
Happy
suppose,
Easter to you.
yes, you too. And hopefully, I don't know how much of this I'll let go on the air. We may go video, but I'm not sure. I may try it just for fun and just do put it up on YouTube and share that link. So for all our listeners out there, have a great Easter. Bye.